This is On the Move with Andrea and Kim. Informative, inspirational. Join us as we bring you all the hot topics on current affairs, cultural diversities, relationships, empowerment tips, interviews from movers and shakers in and around our great city, and to get you through your day, right here on the Move.
Good evening and welcome to On the Move, keeping you informed and inspired. Thank you so much for tuning in today. We're going to be having a much needed discussion. We are talking about violence against our young Black men and the importance of building them up. We see where today, more than ever, with the social unrest, crime and violence, specifically towards our young Black men, seems to be at an all-time high. It's not new, but of course, in light of this pandemic, I feel that it's given some perspective and some extra light on some of the injustices and what has been happening.
Absolutely, Kim. And this is so important for us to discuss this particular topic because our Black youth, they need solutions. They need to know what is the next step. And our guest today is really going to dive in and let us know from his experience, but also what are some of the solutions and things that we can do to combat this issue that is facing our society today.
Absolutely. I'm so excited because this is a conversation that I believe needs to be had in this time. There's no time like the present now to address it as we see it unfolding right before our eyes. So stay with us. You don't want to miss our guest that's coming up. We're going to get into good conversation, giving you nuggets, giving you tips, talking about some lived experience and how we can combat injustices and racism and how we can continue to do our part. Stay with us. We'll be back right after these messages.
Take care.
On the Move. We'll be right back.
Welcome back to On the Move. Thank you so much for staying with us. We are talking about the social unrest, violence against our young Black men, and what we can do to empower them, to impact them in a time like this. Today, we have a special guest that some might know, some might not know, but that's been doing some great work. He is a community activist and advocate. And today I have the utmost privilege of welcoming on our show, Mr. Idris Orughu. Thank you so much for joining us, Idris. How are you?
Yes, welcome.
I am well. Thank you, girls. Congratulations on your show.
Thank you so much.
Wow.
Thank you so much. So when we talked about this topic, or when this topic came up, you instantly came to mind just because of some of the work that you've been doing. Mm-hmm. And obviously even our paths cross based on activism, Andrea as well, doing work in the community. But before we get into that, tell the viewers a little bit about Idris. Who is Idris Orughu? For those who don't know.
Yes.
Tell the viewers who Idris is.
Well, thank you. Idris Orughu, a resident of Brampton, a community leader, a father of 4 with a beautiful wife. I've been involved in community advocacy for some time right now, and I think it's important for everybody to be engaged, and we'll keep the fire going.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
That's right. So what is it that causes you to be so passionate about the community and our youth?
When I see what is going on, I think every one of us needs to be involved in what is happening in the system. We are part of the city. We're part of the country. We pay taxes. We participate in everything. Mm-hmm. Not to participate is essentially not wanting to be a part of the elements that builds the system. Mm-hmm. So participation in all facets of the system is absolutely critical for our own existence and for the cohesion of the city.
That's right.
So I guess you could say it kind of functions like the body. Our eyes, our ears, everything has a part. So if we're neglecting, if we're only maybe talking about, financial or economic while we're losing sight of what is happening in the world, in the times, and justices or injustices, then you're saying there's no balance because it all has to work.
It all has to work together.
Honestly,
in concert.
You're absolutely right. It's like the body, the every parts of the body that has to work as one. What is happening to a lot of us is that we've given our rights, we've given our power to participate in the building of our own community. We seem to have, for whatever the reasons, I mean, there are historical aspects to that, why our community is not as engaged. But we are trying to change that, to make sure that everyone is aware and that there's a price to be paid when you do not participate.
That is so true. And what do you think it is that why our people, especially young like men, like they're not engaged in our community? And when our youth see us that we're not engaged, it sends a very negative message, don't you think?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
There are lots of reasons. The way I look at it, not that I'm an expert on why there's apathy in the system, or I mean, look at even the electoral process. Even for those people, you break it to economic segments within the population, there's still people who don't vote, who don't participate. Yes. It is tough raising a family, and in our community, if you have both parents working, people come, they're tired, you have meetings, you have engagements, you have to go vote, you have to pay attention. It is a lot, but it's still not an excuse not to participate.
It's not an excuse.
You're absolutely right. I think we've seen in some of the other communities that they've really taken the bull by the horn, if you will, right? We can say it. The South Asian community, they're much more organized, if you will. They make it a point of duty. And I think even though we're busy and even though all our commitments in life, they do serve its purpose, and maybe we are legitimately busy, but that we have to be purposeful in like playing our part. We have to be purposeful. Just as how we're purposeful, let's say, with our children or relationship or any other facets, we have to be purposeful, because if we're kind of building our own island and the system on a whole is not affected, I feel, and you can correct me, I feel like we're regressing, like we're really not progressing. So I feel like we have to be purposeful in doing that. I'm just saying, like, how can we change our mindset towards that? And you're right, we're getting a little bit better.
Yes.
But how do we continue to propel that and encourage it so we can see more and more of that?
You're right. So there are socioeconomic factors to why certain things happen. It's not just to just blame our community for not engaging. You can look at it and break it down to see why, for some communities, they're doing a lot better than we are doing.
Yes, it's true.
But nevertheless, it's not late. I can see some changes. We still have ways to go. However, I think it's incumbent upon families, each family, to start to reorientate their mind, to see that they are a part of the system. Yeah. Sometimes one of the things we have done that has not really helped us as a people is we tend to divorce ourselves from what is happening in our environment. And having done that for so long, we're paying the price right now, because there's that awareness that we have to start participating.
We have to.
We are behind, but there's no doubt that we can catch up. But it starts from talking, engaging people, and setting a good and a better example for our younger ones to see so that they can emulate.
Awesome. So I guess you would say it's incumbent on the individual then? Like everybody, it's not somebody else saying, okay, Andrea will start. When Andrea starts, I will start. Because that could also be a part of it, right? They're looking for more people, but maybe we just need more people to step out. Do you think that might be a thing or a perspective, how they could look at it to get more engaged and get more involved?
Well, there's a lot of things happening. We're watching some of the actions, things that are happening in the States. Example, the death of George Floyd. But we really don't need the death of somebody to activate us. We need to self-activate.
Yeah, we hope we don't have any much more deaths.
No,
that's right. We don't.
That's not what we need. We need to self-activate. All you have to do is take a look at the leadership within any municipal government.
That's right.
Look at schools. Look at your employment. You don't see people like you running most of these places. So there's that self-reflection that we as a people need to do and say, we live in this city, we live in this province and in this country.
That's right.
How can we make it better? How can we start to participate in the civic duties, collectively build the country in the various aspects? How come I don't see enough of our people either in schools, as teachers and principals, as guidance counselors, in City Hall as counselors,
Yes.
as the other ones as in school boards as trustees.
As trustees, that's right.
When we start to take note of this, perhaps there's that whole internal reawakening that should happen. But parents need to start having conversations too, because it's not only to the youth. Parents themselves have to be involved.
They have to be educated.
You cannot leave the job for other people to do.
No. And it's so important what you said, that we need to be seen in every facet, from the MPs to trustees, because if they don't see that themselves reflected, then that's where the breakdown begins, because they feel that, you know what, I can't attain that.
True.
It's unattainable, right? So I think we as people, as parents, and that's why I'm so excited that you're here to even educate, like to let our youths know what are some things that they can do. And we're going to get into that into the next topic. And when we come back from our next session, we're going to take a quick commercial break, and then we will be right back.
On the Move. We'll be right back.
Welcome back. We were diving into this very important topic and asking the question how we can engage in the community in terms of parents and our youth. And Idris is going to tell us how he has been actively involved in our community. Can you just let us know?
It's not like there's a script. There's no script to how you do this. It's just about paying attention to what is happening in your community. Right. We all know the crime rates, the events happening, the school boards, not now because of the pandemic, but then even as city council, there are a lot of things that are happening. I think everyone needs to take a step back and say to myself, how can I contribute?
That's right. That's right.
As opposed to sitting down at home, doing whatever it is you're doing, how can I help build our community? If we don't have visibility in certain places, how do we start to change that? In my case, during the election, I've always been involved in politics. I've always been one of this political junkie. I do not anticipate that people are going to be like me. But what it does is it allows you to see and hear what is happening globally, provincially, or federally.
That's right.
So, but what matters most to people, municipality is very, very important. Yeah. You live in a home, you pay your property taxes, you look at your lawn, you have your neighbors. There are events that are happening, and I encourage people to pay attention to what is happening at the municipal level.
Right.
That's right.
To know when the election is coming, who is running, who's going to represent you. That's right. How can I make this person, or I need to know who this person is and what they stand for.
That's right.
So key.
Trustees. These are critical.
Very.
We take the case of Peel District School Board. That's a huge organization. That's a huge aspect of our lives because we send our children to these schools. It's almost a $2 billion organization, I believe $1.9 billion budget that they run. So this is a massive organization.
Right.
We have trustee meetings. They have board meetings. You cannot stay at home when your kids go to school and not show up at the board meetings.
No.
Got to be involved.
You have to be involved.
You have to. It's not, I don't even understand how parents would go through a year and not even attend a board meeting.
No.
So how would you know what's happening?
Right. See, they would.
So there are other people, other communities come in there to decide or participate into the governance, things that will impact your children's life, your children's future, and yet you're not participating.
Right.
Which is not good. And it's a very important to know that you actually had an opportunity to sit in on some of those meetings.
Oh, yes, I did.
And let your voice be heard.
Yes, I did. That was what led, yes, my voice was heard, and that led to something else where my voice was silenced.
Right.
So we can look at that. Yes, because if I had not been involved, and if the other parents had not been involved, you would not know the treatments.
Exactly.
You would not know the policies, the things that are impacting how your children are being taught in school.
see.
It's so important for you to get involved, and we're going to dive right into it shortly, Idris. But just even as we talked about getting involved and playing a part and just understanding, it's so important that we do get involved, because if the process is flawed, then it's going to take so much work to even get a little progress.
Right.
And so the longer we delay, the longer we wait, the more we're not involved, it's like we're regressing almost.
Absolutely. You're so right, Kim. If you look at the Peel District School Board, every time you have those board meetings, there are things that are important that are being discussed, that are being tabled. So you not being there, you are voluntarily excluding yourself
Exactly.
from either objecting or supporting it. And other communities are doing this. Now, when you see the breakdown of the board, there are only, if you see the breakdown of the board itself, I believe there are 83% of racialized students within the student body. However, the educators are 67% white. So there isn't enough representation there.
No.
Right.
So if you're not paying attention, you will not understand the breakdown. You will not understand suspension rates. You will not understand how your students, whether they're taking university courses, you might understand that, but you might think you're powerless. You don't even know, how do I change this where my children are not getting the right counseling within the school so that they can pick the right courses.
Right.
So there's so many aspects to how not being involved can set your child's future behind.
Back. That's true.
And like you said earlier, Kim, once that damage has been done, it's a lot harder
To undo. Because practice, I think, becomes perfect. So anything that becomes kind of a norm or a way of life, it's kind of like you're accepting of it.
Yes.
If you don't stand, it's just, even for people that are not involved, the more you go about your daily lives and do everything, you feel like it's okay. And you just get into a sense of complacency, I think, which is what you see. It's not, I don't think it's at the core because people don't care or they wouldn't like to see better, but they've gotten so complacent.
That's right.
Complacency hurts.
Yes.
Elections have consequences. And honestly, we are watching that happening in the States.
Absolutely.
Elections have consequences.
Yes.
If you vote or support the wrong people, if you don't arm yourself with the right information, don't know what somebody stands for, within City Hall, see how it can affect your property taxes, how you will cut your lawn, what you do when you, there's so many aspects why our people need to pay attention. Just allowing other people to dictate for you or to set the standard for you, it's not good enough.
It's not. It's
I want to dive right into, because I know we're pressed for time, I want to dive right into, as we're talking about individuals doing their part, and you're encouraging the viewers that they should get involved and that there's no time like the present to get involved and the importance of getting involved. I want to talk a little bit about your involvement. Obviously, this segment we're talking about injustices against our youth. But even though obviously you're an adult, you have children, maybe not necessarily in the PDSB that you're advocating for, but still advocates. And we saw where not only yourself, but other members that were trying to stand up for our youth in light of the injustices, what happened to them. So of course, we're gonna dive right into it. There was the issue of systematic and anti-Black racism that was raised in the Peel District School Board based on a comment that a trustee made. And it's funny because I think at that time, if he had just apologized, it would have just finished everything. So I think now it's almost a blessing that didn't happen or that he didn't see the need to do that, because it really opened up everything and really has
energized.
put you through some distress for sure, right? But also have gotten us some progress. And I think that's so important for us to reckon that. And it goes back to what I was saying earlier. If we don't do it now, how much work that had to be done. So of course, you were showing up to the Peel District School Board, to the meetings, advocating, doing what you need to do, standing up for the trustee, but also for the children in general, what you represent. And tell us what happened.
So it's good you just brought up the incident of how this all started. And truly, in one of the board meetings, I did say to the particular trustee that started this, I did thank him. I said, thank you, sir. Because not for your words, not for your recklessness, we probably won't be here today. So in a way, it was a blessing that you did not do what was right. Had he just apologized, admitted that he was wrong, and the board did what they had to do with regards to punitive measure, if there were any, would never been here. I probably would never have gotten the trespass letter. Some of the gains we've had, we may never have had those. So I always want to thank him, and I'm pretty sure we all know who he is by referring
Without
to
saying any names,
a
yes.
school
Right.
In a criminal way. And we have all known that wasn't the only school. There's the Meadow Jail, there's the Central Africa for Central Appeal. These are terms that are being thrown around in schools that principals, educators are all been familiar with, but nobody did anything. So with regards to how this started, those simple words that were said were never retracted. The apology came late, but that was what got our community. That's what got our attention.
That's what got our attention.
It got our attention, and it morphed into where we are today. So there are good things that came out of a terrible words that were used to describe a school that has some of our
Predominantly Black students.
Right.
I just want to ask you, in regards to our youth, what are some ways that we can use to empower them? What are some tools that we can give them so that they have that ammunition now to go forth and to be that change agent?
You know, Black kids are strong.
Yes.
I've always said this, and I said this in the protest. Believe in yourself. But you know what is critical here is our education is absolutely important. When you are educated, when you know what you know, it gives you confidence. Right. When you lack those tools, when you lack education, you go into a place doubting yourself. The moment you sow the seeds of doubt in yourself, it's over.
It's over. It's over.
So educating yourself, knowing where to seek the right information, having good mentorship, it's
Very
also important. It's absolutely important. I cannot overestimate or emphasize the significance of mentorship in our community and in society at large, because people have gone through those paths, were setting those kids up so that they don't make the mistakes that we made.
That's right.
But paying attention, education it's important. Having our kids know that they can be who they want to be.
Absolutely.
And that no matter the words, the descriptive words that were used on them, used towards them, demean them, it's not enough to deter them.
That's right.
It should strengthen them.
Exactly.
It should make them come back and see themselves as, I can do this.
That's right. That's right.
With guidance from people like myself and other community members, every one of us, it takes a village to raise a child.
It does.
This is where those words can be put to test.
Absolutely. I want to thank you, of course, for the work that you have been doing and continue to do, but also to congratulate you on your vindication. So, of course, the board had banned you, which was unlawful to begin with. But we saw where we got message from the PDSP apologizing, and Minister Lecce himself also, we have that letter being displayed now, an apology from the PDSP, because in essence, all you're doing is advocating. Didn't do anything illegal, doing anything wrong. So, I mean, it's encouragement for the viewers that as you are, God forbid they encounter something similar, to just let them trust the process and to just really push through. Because I feel like if you had stepped back, you wouldn't have got that vindication that's needed. And it would have seemed like their ban was warranted, which it wasn't. So continue to do what you do. If they want to follow you, viewers want to check out Idris, this advocate, what to do. Tell the viewers how they can find you.
Well, I'm trying to get my social media. You know this going. I'm at Orughu. Orughu, that's my Twitter handle. My Instagram it's about the same thing. I am now, but I think what you just said, just to round up, it's absolutely important to believe in yourself.
That's right.
To have that courage to fight. You're going to deal with obstacles. You always deal with obstacles. Do not think any fight is easy, and do not think you're going to be victorious at the end of the day. However, with commitment, with your tenacity, with dedication, pursue it. Justice shall be served. And in my case, it was served.
Yes. Amazing.
Awesome.
Thank you so much,
Thank
Idris.
you so much for coming.
It has been a pleasure having you.
Thank
on
you.
the show. We look forward to having you again to continue the dialogue. I know there's much to be said. There's much we didn't even get to touch on. And that's why I said you can follow his social media to see all the activism. Thank you so much for joining us. This is On the Move. Stay with us. We'll be right back after these messages.
This is On the Move.
Welcome to Inspirational Corner. The scripture tells us, young men, I call on you because you're strong. And we want to send a message to our youth that you are strong, you are change agents, and there's absolutely nothing that you cannot do. The Bible instructs us that the book of this law, the word of God, should not depart out of your mouth. So as you continue to trust God, as you continue to seek God, know that He will make a way for you. He will bring you before great men. So you will be able to sit in seats of government, of leadership. You will be able to do exploits because God is working through you. I want to encourage you today that as you go into the school systems, I want you to stand up and let your voices be heard. Know that there's absolutely nothing and no one that can hold you back. You are amazing and you are awesome. And we thank you today for joining our show. We thank you for being here to hear the words from our guests today. And I hope you've been empowered. I hope you've been inspired. And until next time, I want to encourage you to keep on moving because movement is the key to life. Until next time, this is On the Move.
Gospel Faith TV. For more information, call the number on the screen, 647-472-8255. A member of our staff is standing by. Or visit the website, gospelfaithtv.com. Call now. Gospel Faith TV, taking the gospel to the world.